Welcome to the NPTEL online certification course on performance and reward management. Myself Dr. Shushmita Mukhopadhyay, Associate Professor, Vinod Gupta School of Management, IIT Kharagpur, will take you through this journey of performance and reward management. Let us start with the first week's module. With the first module, the topic of which is understanding the meaning of performance management and reward management system with performance management process. So, let us begin. The topics that will be covered in this, the concepts which will be covered in this chapter are meaning of performance management, key components and guiding principles of performance management, aims and objectives of a performance management system. So, let us understand what is the meaning of performance management. Performance management is a continuous process that aims at identifying, evaluating and developing the performance of individuals as well as teams working in an organization, along with aligning the performance of individuals and teams in line with the strategic goals of an organization. So, let us analyze this definition. If you see this definition, in this definition there are 2 or 3 key points which are highlighted, which will help us to understand better what is a performance management system or as a process. If you see, the first highlighting point of this definition is it is a continuous process. So, performance management is a continuous process. It is not that which is done, it is a one time affair. It is continuous process which is done throughout the year, and and it is followed like maybe every day, every week to find out where we are reaching. And it involves 3 main steps, like it starts with identifying, evaluating and developing the performance. So, it is not only evaluating, we have to understand performance management is not only evaluating the performance of individuals, but rather it is identifying, evaluating and developing the performance of whom? Performance of individuals as well as teams, performance of individuals as well as teams working in an organization. Along with this line is very important, we have to focus over here, aligning the performance of individuals and teams with the strategic goals of an organization. So, we have to understand that every organization has a strategic goal to achieve, and performance management is a continuous process which helps to align the performance of individuals and teams with the strategic goals of the organization by identifying, evaluating and developing the performance of individuals and the teams and get it aligned with the organization's objectives. So, we take it to be a systematic process. We have to understand it is a systematic process for improving organizational performance. So, this is the key meaning of when we talk of what is performance management. Now, let us see what are the definitions, some definitions given by some scholars, so that which will help us to understand what is performance management from a scholarly perspective. The scholarly definitions of performance management, first we will go by the definition given by Lockett in 1992. It is the, if you see this definition, it is written, it is the development of individuals So, the word development is very important. It will come again and again when you are talking of performance management, because performance management, the focus is on the development of individuals and improving their performance and getting it aligned with the organizational objectives and of course, the department's objectives and organizational objectives. So, it is the development of individuals with competence and commitment. So, with competence, it is the development of individuals so that they become more competent, their competence, they become more competent and they become more committed to the working towards the achievement of what they want, what is to be achieved, achievement of shared meaningful objectives. The word shared meaningful objectives is very important. When you talk of only reaching the organizational objectives, it may appear as such, like somewhere the individual's goals, objectives of life are getting lost and individuals and teams are getting utilized to reach the organizational objectives. But when we are talking of performance management, the case is not so. It is a shared objectives and it is meaningful objectives, because if I want to achieve something in life, achieve a goal in life, first I should understand the meaning of it, then only I will be motivated to like go for it. So, the shared meaningful objectives within the organization. So, it is within the organization which supports and encourages their achievement. These words are also very, very important part of the definition. So, when we talk of achievement, it is not only the organization reaching its goal and fulfilling its purpose and becoming more effective, but the individuals are also having a sense of achievement, because by working towards the organization goals, because the person's goals and organization goals are getting aligned to each other, the individuals are also having a sense of achievement of reaching their personal goals. So, this definition is very important as it shows the linking, the alignment of the individual's goals, purpose in life with the goals and purpose of the organization, and how both together they are sharing their purposes and reaching towards the fulfillment and a sense of achievement, both individual sense of achievement and organization sense of achievement. The next definition, which is by Walters 1995, it tells about the process. Now, what is done as a process? So, what you find in the definition of Locke, it is the philosophy that we are talking of, what is known as performance management. And when you talk of performance management as a process, the definition of Walters tells it is the process of directing and supporting employees to work as effectively and efficiently as possible in line with the needs of the organization. So, it is like the process of directing and supporting employees. So, it is not only directing, but it is also hand holding support, giving them the resources so that they can like reach the goal, the objectives given to them, and aligning them so that they can work effectively and efficiently in line with the needs of the organization. And when you are talking of these needs of the organization, if you go to the first definition, these needs of the organization and the needs of the individual are quite mapped together and they reach a shared vision. And this is where actually the challenge of performance management lies, like how to align the needs, aspirations of the individuals, teams with the needs and aspirations of the organization as such. More we go into the details of the course, we will get to understand the processes of doing such. So, to continue, we will look now to the definition given by Armstrong and Barron. According to Armstrong and Barron, so this is a comprehensive definition given by Armstrong and Barron, which talks of performance management. If you see it is a strategic, performance management is a strategic and integrated approach. When we talk of strategic approach, it means it is at the organizational level, which talks of the organization's vision, mission and goals and what it wants to achieve, how it wants to get its competitive advantage, how it wants to survive and sustain. An integrated approach means all the systems are integrated with each other. All the systems of the organization are integrated with each other. Individual goals are integrated with the departmental goals are integrated with the organizational goals. So, here we are talking of both vertical and horizontal integration of what? It is a strategic and integrated approach to delivering sustained success to organizations. The word sustained success to organization is very important. So, it is not that we just do it for a one time effort, for a one time success, but if a proper performance management system is designed, if it is achieved, then it leads to a sustained success to organizations by improving. How we achieve this? How we can achieve the sustained success of the organization? The process is by improving the performance of the people who work in them and by developing the capabilities of teams and individual contributors. So, if you just look into the definition, you will find over here the word evaluation is not coming here much. That is not the high term which is highlighted over here. It is more focusing on improving, developing. So, it is a positive approach which looks towards like what is your competency now, what is the gap in the competency, that is expected competency, and how we can handhold you, how the organization can handhold you, help you to improve, so that you improve as a performer and vis-a-vis you contribute towards the better performance of the organization also. So, if you are seeing by this definition, now we will try to understand the from this. If you want to summarize the definition, we will find like there are certain key components of performance management that we have discussed through these definitions that we did define till now. What we see, one of the key components of the definition of performance management that we highlighted at the start of defining what is the performance management is very important, is that performance management is a continuous, performance management is a continuous process. It is a continuous process. You have to do it through, you just cannot tell we are not focused towards performance management, or from this date to that date we will be focusing on performance management. No. So, it is a continuous never ending process in which goals are set, objectives are formulated, performance is observed and feedback is shared on an ongoing basis to improve the performance. So, if you just look into this, there are maybe 4 key components if you want to see. Performance management is a continuous and never ending process. Number 1, goals are set, in which the goals are set, objectives are formulated, performance is observed, and very, very important, feedback is shared on an ongoing basis. Feedback is shared on an ongoing basis to, what is the aim of doing so, is to improve the performance. So, goals are set, objectives are formulated, performance is observed, feedback is shared on an ongoing basis to improve the performance. And that is why this is taken to be a continuous process. Next, what is again the important point? Next important point for performance management is aligning. You have to see it is aligning the performance in line with the strategic goals of the organization. This is a very, very important point. So, managers, what they need to ensure is that the activities undertaken by the employees must aim at achieving the overall objectives of the organization and not only their employees' personal goals. So, we have to see over here is that there are two key parts of the definition. Is it is aligned with the strategic goals of an organization, and they have to ensure like this activities undertaken by the employees must be focused towards the achievement of the overall objectives of the organization, and it is not only the employees' personal goals. The personal goals of the employees needs to be mapped with the organizational goals. The personal goals of the employees needs to be mapped with the organizational goals, and it has to be aligned. Personal goals of the employees needs to be mapped with the organizational goals, and it needs to be aligned with each other. It should not be that the management should not, it's not like the managers are only focused towards achieving organization's goal and they are not focused towards the individual goals. That scenario should not also be there. Also, it should not be like the individual goals are what the managers are only focused, and this goes this way and organization goals this goes this way, and there is no linking between this. No, the personal goals and the organizational goals have to be linked and mapped together with each other, and so a sense of balance needs to be reached. This word is very important. We have to understand a sense of balance needs to be reached over here. So, the main critical point of performance management as HR people when we do it is how to achieve this balance. How to achieve this balance, because otherwise what happens after this when we go for reward management system, if these personal goals are not balanced and mapped towards the organizational goals, or the organizational goals are not mapped to the personal goals, then reward management becomes a problem, and these rewards actually don't lead to any result for the organization's improvement of performance. So, that is very important. Like both, we have to align we have to take activities, we have to align the goals of the organization. First, we have to understand what the organization wants to achieve, then cascade it down to the departmental level and map it to the individual's goals. So, when you focus now, when you understand this, this is what we mean by what is performance management, then what are the guiding principles for performance management? There are few guiding principles. Let us focus on them very slowly. So, first, what we understand by performance management is that performance management is not just delegating the employees, like you have to do this, this is your responsibility, but empowering them for decision making also. Like they can choose how to do it, choose how to do it and how much to do. So, it is not only delegating, but empowering employees. And when we empower employees also, it is very important to create accountability. I am responsible for my action. I am answerable for certain things. So, it is not only delegating, but it is empowering. So, it is not just delegating, along with it empowering, but empowering also brings the process of accountability. Offering regular feedback, maintaining a continuity, and offering directions. This is again very important. Offering directions when needed, but not controlling. This is the point maybe where many of the HR practicing managers, practitioners do have problem of while practicing. These are again skills, competencies that we need to develop as like managers. Like somewhere we cannot like there is a thin line of difference when we talk of like offering directions when needed, when asked for, but I am not controlling. Somewhere through our attitudes, through our body language, we are not able to keep this fine thread of difference, and we start controlling the people. So, this is what we need to understand. If you are empowering people to choose how they will be doing certain things and take decisions and making them accountable also for their actions, then we have to offer directions when needed. Either they ask for it or we feel like this is where they need our hand holding support, because we as experts may feel like these are the jerks that are going to come. But we may give suggestions, but we cannot tell you have to do this because as a senior I am telling you to do it. So, these are certain maybe practices which we need to like look forward to when we are talking of performance management. If you have to implement performance management as a process, as a system in the organization. Next is control is only exercised by exceptions. If we think like situations are going out of hand, okay, and the person to whom we have given the responsibility is not able to handle it properly, then maybe we can think of controlling. That is why it is told control is exercised by exceptions. So, here maybe the leadership style, the development level of the followers, like when we talk of like to whom to give the responsibility, like whom to empower, all these kind of things need to be thought also before we move forward to like empowering people with certain decisions. We have to think like what is the development level, competence level, what they need to develop as the competencies before they become ready to take certain independent decisions or do things in an independent way. Take timely actions is another important point. We have to see like the coaching, counseling and feedback should aim at correcting the deviations for achieving the strategic goals of an organization and not the individual goals. Why this is highlighted over here is like it is this due to this alignment. We have to see like when you are coaching as a performance, if you are coaching for the performance management process and system, we have to see like how to bridge these two things together, the goals of the individual and the goals of the organization. How to like align and bridge. These are the important, align and bridge two things together. This is very important. Okay. So, like it is when you talk about coaching, counseling and feedback should aim at correcting the deviations for achieving the strategic goals of the organization and not the individual goals. This should not be misunderstood at the fact like the organization is not concerned about the personal goals of the individuals. No, organization is concerned both for the personal goals of the individuals and the organizational goals also, but it needs to be mapped together, so that because it is the performance management system that we are talking of and it is functioning within the organization, the individual's goals should find a place in the organization's goal. That is where we need to align it. And when you are talking of coaching, counseling and feedback, then what happens? The individuals should be able to find a place, realize the importance of the individual's goals and his or her contribution towards the organization goals. When we talk of the difference between performance management and performance appraisal, these are two terms that we see, like sometimes we get confused, sometimes like we feel like these are one and same, but it is not. There is some difference between the two terms when we talk of performance appraisal and performance management system. So, what is the difference is, performance appraisal is a systematic description of an employee's strength and weakness. It is restricted to evaluating. So, performance appraisal is restricted to evaluating an employee's performance either once or twice in a year, and it is not an ongoing process that offers a regular feedback for aligning the individual's goals with the organization's goals. So, it is just a small part of a it is a very small part of a total performance management system. So, it is like when we talk of performance management, it is a like holistic regular process, and when we talk of like performance appraisal, it is restricted to the evaluating of the individual's performance once or twice a year. So, when you talk of performance appraisal, is just a small part of a performance management system. So, what we see as the key difference between performance appraisal and performance management is that performance appraisal is a top down assessment. In performance management, it is, if you see this part, it is a joint process. It is a joint process through dialogue. If you remember, initially we talked of it as a shared objectives that is going to be reached and shared meaning which is to be achieved. So, it is a joint process through dialogue. When you talk of performance appraisal, it is annual appraisals. When you talk of performance management, it is a continuous reviews. Performance appraisal use lots of rating scales and other things. In performance management, it is less common because here it is more of jointly we discuss to reach an objective, we find out, we frame out how these can be reached, and then we move slowly towards achieving these objectives for the organization. So, performance appraisal is a monolithic system. Performance management is a flexible system because it is based on, like I will suggest, like this is what we want to do and I feel you can reach this objective. The employee may suggest, no, based on the constraints in my life and maybe the other things that I have, I will be able to do this much, and because I am involved in that setting of that goal, I know like this is what is achievable for me and I can do it. So, it is based on dialogue and it is a flexible system. Performance appraisal is focused on quantified values. Performance management is more focused on values, behaviors and objectives. Performance appraisal is more likely to link to pay. When we talk of performance management, It is a holistic system, and when you talk of less likely to link to pay, it is the holistic system which talks of career growth and development. Performance appraisal is an ingrained part of performance management. The part of performance management which is linked to pay is known as performance appraisal. The other things, the performance management is a broader set. It is a performance management is a big set in which performance appraisal is an included set in performance management. In performance appraisal, there is a complex paperwork. In performance management, it is more of like less of paperwork and more of observing individuals, knowing their competencies, getting to know your employees in a better way, know their strengths and weaknesses where you need to develop, knowing your organizations in a better way. In performance appraisal, it is generally owned by the HR department. In performance appraisal is owned by the HR department. In performance management, it is more owned by the line managers. Why? Actually, HR is a philosophy in which every manager has to be an HR manager, and because why performance management is more owned by the line managers is performance management is a system, is a continuous process which is linked with achieving the organization's goals and objectives and connecting individuals' goals, objectives, activities with the goals and objectives of the organization. So, it is the line managers who are directly involved in like the processes where through the input, throughput and output process, they are in the direct interaction with the employees every day. They see them performing, reaching the doing the tasks given to them, what are the hurdles that they are facing, and what hand-holding support they will require to reach that objectives. Departmental goals are given to them. They also understand what are the resources they require to achieve these goals in a better way. That's why performance management is owned by the line managers. What are the aims and objectives of performance management? It is empowering, motivating and rewarding employees, making sure employees not only do the right things, but also do things right, managing and improving performance, best and judicious use of resources. That is very important, because we have to be efficient and effective both, and we have to be sustainable. For that, the wastages should be less, and best and judicious use of resources is a very, very important part of performance management, like why we want to do a performance management. It helps in identifying needs for training, ensuring role clarity, as I was telling, because the line managers are people who are knowing, seeing what are the employees doing, what are their drawbacks, where they are facing the hurdles. They can identify the need for training and they can explain the role properly also. So, ensuring role clarity is the next aim. Aligning individual and organization's goal, the most important part of performance management thing. This is very, very important. And defining standards for managing performance. Whenever we are talking of performance management, this needs to be very, very clear, like what if achieved, what are the standards if achieved, what we need to achieve for, what are the standards that we need to achieve, so that if we know like we have reached that, we can understand like we are on the right track, both from the individual, departmental and at the organization's levels. To be precise, when we talk of the 6 purposes served by an effective performance management system are: first is a strategic purpose to help top management to achieve its goals, administrative purpose to make valid and useful information available for taking decisions, informational to inform employees what is expected of them, development purpose to provide scope for training and development to the employees, organizational maintenance purpose, workplace planning and allocation of resources. Maintenance of records is a very important part of performance management, because in performance management we understand if we want to change something, first we need to measure it. What it cannot be measured cannot be changed. Okay, so records maintained used to be, if you want to bring some change management, if you want to introduce certain change in behavior pattern, change in what needs to be achieved, first we need to record the baseline. Like, so we just cannot, if we do not have like basic platform from which we need to improve, whenever we are talking of improving, so it needs to be measured, because if we do not have the idea what we have achieved till now very precisely, then we cannot plan to what to achieve next. So, maintenance of records is very important. Records maintained can be used in future for effective planning. And all this is done with the sole objective of improving the organization's performance. So, organization's performance gets holistically improved when the organization's goals are cascaded down to the departmental goals and the individual goals, and individuals also feels a sense of self expression, happiness, motivation, when they feel like, yes, I am contributing in a much better way, I am an important part of the organization. Performance management has that beauty. It helps employees to reach a sense of self fulfillment, to understand their importance in the organization as a very important contributor towards the development of the organization, and that gives a sense of happiness, that gives a sense of self fulfillment. I have contributed meaningfully towards the organization's goals, and in that process I have also reached my dream of whatever I wanted to achieve as an individual in my life also, because what is the aim over here? It tries to align the individual's goals with the organization's goals, and together it leads to the improvement of the performance of the organization. These are certain references based on which the discussion is till now, whatever discussion we had. You can have a look at these references for further reading, in-depth reading, and in any doubts that you have, any ideas that you need to clarify, we are there in the, you can always come back to the discussion forum, where we will be open to answer any queries from your side, any problems that you give. Maybe we will take up those issues in the next upcoming discussions also. Thank you for now. Meet you in the next module. Thank you.